Hello, beautiful humans. It's Adria Firestone, speaker, author, coach, and this is one of our wonderful Unapologetically You interviews with the infamous, the exciting, the thrilling Jacqueline Wales. This woman inspired me from the moment I laid eyes on her. And I think you can see what I mean already, yes. And Jacqueline is a writer. She's a keynote speaker. She's a trusted advisor to high achieving women. And she inspires audiences to be fearless. And you know that's something the Wise Wild Woman is all about, is being fearless in pursuit of the life they want. Jacqueline, welcome. Welcome to Unapologetically You.
Well, thank you. And I have learned how to be unapologetically me.
Ooh.
But it took a while, but I did get there. And now there we are. Yeah.
Tell me, what does it mean to you to be unapologetically you?
It means that I have taken complete ownership and authority of my own life.
Ooh, ooh, complete and unapologetic authority and control of your own life. So
Absolutely.
what happens in your life, it is your responsibility. Those are your choices about how we respond.
That's exactly right. And if you are making choices that are not serving your best interests, you need to stop and take a harder look at why you're invested in continuing those patterns that do not serve your best interests or help you to become your best you.
My goodness, yes. I passionately agree with you. And my favorite word has become no.
Yes. And it's a little word, but it's a very hard word for a lot of people, especially if they're people pleasers. And unfortunately, there are too many women who are socialized to become people pleasers.
As Don Miguel Ruiz says, we are tamed, we are domesticated to be people pleasers. Let me please you. Let me take care of you. Let me make everything better for you. In the meantime, I'm denying everything that I want and I need.
That's
and we
exactly.
have such a hard time saying no.
And here's the reason why. I need to be liked. I need to be approved of. I need to have people say that I'm okay, because I personally don't feel like I'm okay. So I will find my validation in others. And that's one of the biggest reasons why women are people pleasers. And trust me, I used to be one too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And I still find myself backsliding if I'm exceptionally tired, if my energy is not up, and I'm in a certain atmosphere. I find myself trying to make everybody happy and make things better. And then I go, but what are you doing?
Yes.
Adria, what are you doing?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how did you get out of that?
A lot of trial and error, frankly. I mean, I've been doing these behavioral assessments on individuals for several years now. And when I understood what this particular system was doing in measuring
Yes.
behavior, I had to look at my own stuff and see what is your behavior, especially around the approval issues of what really matters to you around this. And it was fundamentally the feeling of not being good enough. And this is where I say fear comes from, is that you're fundamentally feeling that you're inadequate, that something about you is not right, you're not worthy, you don't deserve, you're afraid that others will somehow take advantage of you. And so you step into this place of, I'm okay if you're okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that those of us that have gone through trauma, and all of us, by the way, most of us have. It's just a matter of levels. It's a matter of how severe it was. But all of us have gone through, I think it's part of Earth School, is that we go through this. And the more traumatized you are, the more you develop this spidey sense on what people are doing, how they're going to react. Are they going to become explosive? And you immediately start the soothing gestures or the words or the behavior that soothe someone else. And we're not awake to the fact that we're not considering us at all. We become
Absolutely.
almost invisible. Don't we become invisible?
You make yourself invisible. That's the issue. And when I'm working with people who are high on the approval scale,
Mm-hmm.
I ask them to take a moment. Like you said, you hate the word no, learning how to use the word no.
Oh.
And here's how I like to frame this. No, that doesn't work for me. No, that doesn't meet my highest and best purpose. And when you take that moment to take that breath around when somebody asks for something and your automatic response is, oh, yes, let me help you. Absolutely. You take a moment to step back and go, okay, does this serve my best purposes? Does this serve my highest and best interests? If the answer is no, or even maybe, you're going to think about it. You're not going to go automatically to that magnet in the sky that puts the hand up and says, yes, let me be your doormat, please. And then what happens with a lot of people who are approval driven is you let the rope out and you let the rope out and you let the rope out until finally you build resentment and you yank it back in, and other people look at you and go, but what? You were so giving a few minutes ago, and now
Exactly. What happened?
what happened? It's like, yeah, well, you kind of used up whatever was in the gas tank. You're done now. Boom. Yes.
And we use up our reserves. And then we have no reserves left. And then there's no tolerance for anything. And if someone raises their eyebrow the wrong way, it's a war.
Well, yes, I've certainly been there. I've been in a relationship now for 43 years. He knows me better than anybody else in my life, and has been with me more than, there's only one other person I can think of who's been with me longer than he has. And they've known me since I was like 3. But
My goodness.
there's a piece there where, he's watched every single permutation of my evolution. And I said something to him today that, I will mention I'm doing a TED Talk in October.
Lovely.
And it's not available for anyone to see anytime soon. But the point being is, I said something to him about, the transformation. Where was my fear turning point? And he was sitting there, and he's known me for 43 years.
My.
I said, there was a time when so-and-so asked me why I was going through the therapy and the trauma of reliving all of these early memories.
Yes.
I said to her, if I don't do this, I will die. And it will not kill me physically, but it will kill me emotionally and spiritually. And that was it. And that was the moment of like, why are you doing what you're doing? And that was the reason why. I was very clear on it. And my husband sat there at lunchtime today when I told him this story, which I thought he'd heard before.
Yes.
And he had tears in his eyes. And I was like, wow, you didn't know that? That happened
Oh,
like
my.
35, 40 years ago. So there you go. It's amazing. But these are the points at which we have to start looking at our lives and asking ourselves, is this really what you want to do with the rest of your days? Or is this something more?
That, Jacqueline, is something that I think many of us find ourselves unable to answer, is what do you want out of your life? What I have found, even in myself, when I have asked myself those questions, I find myself asking for what I think I can get, but not what my heart and soul really wants, because I was so brainwashed with I don't deserve that I'm afraid to ask for what I really want.
Yes. Yeah. Because the
Have you ever
expectation is
encountered that?
all the time. I mean, the expectation is you're not going to get it because, somewhere along the way, someone told you you're not going to get it.
And
So
you don't deserve to have it.
And you don't deserve to have it. So, we limit ourselves with our expectations of what we're capable of. And it's not until we are challenging ourselves in the moment. Because here's the other thing. What do you want out of your life is a big, big question. Better question is, what do you want out of your life right now?
Ooh,
More of. What do you want less of? What would make the biggest difference in your life right this minute if you were to do something different?
I love that. That makes it more like I can grasp it. I can hold that in my hand instead of the hugeness of what do you want for
I
a
mean, if
hundred
anyone had said
years?
to me, here's the thing, if anybody had said to me 30 years ago that I
Yeah.
would be sitting here having this conversation with everything that I've got going on in my life and everything I've created for the last, 10, 15
Yes.
years, or even longer, I would have gone, you're out of your mind. No way is that going to happen, because my expectation at the time was that I didn't know if I was capable of it. At that point in time, I had started to write for the first time. And a teacher I had said to me, "You've done this before." And I said, "No, I haven't." She said, "Well, I'm reading this story you've just written, and it reads like somebody who's knows how to do this."
Oh,
And in that moment, I went, maybe there's something going on here that I need to think about. Well,
yes.
I ended up taking 12 years to write my first book because it was based on family history, and I couldn't figure out what the structure was. Is it autobiographical? Is it a memoir? Is it
Is it-
whatever? And then eventually it became a semi-autobiographical piece of fiction. But it took people in my life to help me get that sorted out. Because there's another big piece of this. None of us does this work alone. Nobody.
You're right.
You need support. You need people who believe in you. You need people who can see the talent even long before you can see the talent. And you can work with them to help bring it to the surface and take that next step. And I would not be here today if it wasn't for many, many people who have given me the opportunity to say, don't go that way, go this way. And I took their advice, and that's what happened.
Jacqueline, I love this. I love this because I wouldn't be on the planet anymore if it weren't for this beautiful group of people who surround me with their hearts open, their arms open, and always telling me the truth. And sometimes I go, ow, ow, ow. But the truth, the love, the unconditional love, the non-judgmental love
Mhm.
has kept me on this planet, because I think for the first half of my life, I didn't even want to be here. I was
Well,
wondering, why am I here?
right. Well, I certainly had that going on. I would remember as a child sitting in my room going, why me, God? Why? What did I do to deserve this? You know, um, dealing with alcoholism and violence and all the other stuff that went
Oh,
with it, it
yes,
was remarkable. But to your point you made earlier, and this is something I truly believe. Many years ago, I read a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And
yes,
it
yes.
was written by Clarissa Pinkola Estes.
Estes, yes.
And she is a psychotherapist. And
Yes.
she talked about how we come into this world and we choose our parents before we come into this world. And when I first read that, I went, who the
That's
hell
crazy.
is mine? I mean, really, what an insane choice that was.
Exactly.
But when I look back on it now and I see the progression of my life and I see all the ways in which I was brought to learning about how to move from victimhood to thriving, not just surviving, but thriving,
Thriving.
then it makes sense that I was brought into a life that gave me a barrel full of bullshit, frankly.
Yes, yes,
Stronger words, but there we are.
yes,
But
yes,
you know what I'm talking about, and
I
so does
do.
your listeners right now. But if we look at it as we needed to learn these hard lessons, and those hard lessons are what creates your character. These hard lessons are what bring you to be the magnificent person that you really are, because you've taken the journey to heal the wounds, and not only just heal the wounds, but also be able to translate these wounds into ways in which you can help others, which is what we're doing right now,
Yes.
to overcome their own wounds and step into the fullness of who they are so they can take that ownership and authority and take their place in the world, head high. I give a shit about what you think about me. I don't really care. What you think about me is none of my
It's
business.
none of my business. Absolutely. And Jacqueline, you touch my heart. You bring tears to my eyes when you say this, because I too, that's where I got the wise wild woman from, was from Clarissa's book. Okay.
Okay.
That is because I realized that is my essence. And I tried to dumb it down and to make it less and to be less intense and be less exuberant. That's who I am. How ridiculous. How ridiculous. So I am owning up to who I am. And I understand what you're saying. And when you say that the people that we chose to be our parents, I too believe that. I believe that. And I believe that the lessons I learned, they were my most horrific teachers, but they were teachers that I could have turned into a monster. But I made, and here's the magic, I made a choice, as I'm sure you have. We made a choice not to go down the same road. As a matter of fact, to take that and shift it 180 degrees until we have a capacity for understanding and for love and for giving love without judgment, and yet being so incredibly practical because we've been through it all.
Absolutely.
Haven't we?
Yes, no question.
And those of us, yes, and those of us that have bothered to do this, to have suffered through the healing, because the healing in some way was twice as hard as going through the original trauma, was to revisit it with new perception and realize the horror of it, and then say, wait a minute, I can do, my grandmother, she was an itty-bitty, adorable woman with a name that was taller than she was. Antonietta Calabrese Mastroianni, okay?
Oh.
And she would sit there and she would, oh. And I saw that. That was my only acting teacher. But I learned I can play that role, or I can say, my favorite word is basta. That's enough. That's enough. No further, no more. I won't do it.
Yes. Well, we all have to get to that moment of, that's where we need to go.
Yes.
And it is a testament to the courage, because I like to say the other side of fear is courage.
Courage.
And I like to say being fearless is not the absence of fear.
Amen.
It will always be there. But if we have the courage to take the next step, and then the next one, and then the next one, then opportunities start to open up. And before you know it, you're starting to transform yourself. It's why I created my program, Transformational Strategies for Success. I help people understand, who are you? Where is it you want to be going?
Yes.
What is it that's getting in the way? What is it that really matters to you? And what do you really want your life to look like? So how do I help you create a new narrative of who you think you are? And it's a very intensive, immersive program, but it's designed to get people from A to wherever in the shortest time possible, because we took decades to learn what we've learned.
Oh, yes, we did.
Now I help people do it in months, not years.
How exciting.
It changes their lives, and their confidence rises, their communication skills improve, their ability to see where the bullshit is, and proper boundaries so that people don't intrude on them to the same degree. They don't allow those things. They get over the approval issues. And start to claim that power that is for every one of us on this planet, if we are willing to go out, do the work, change the stuff up, change the stories you tell yourself, because that's primarily what fear is all about. It's the stories you tell yourself. Change your story, you change your life.
Amen.
Amen.
Absolutely, that is it. Because when your own perception of where you are and where you've been changes, and now you're in a place where you're saying, wait a minute, this is in my way.
Yes.
This is holding me back. This is like some wall, but I'm the one who built the wall, therefore I can dismantle it.
Well, I did martial arts for years. I earned a black
Did
belt in
you?
karate. And I have to tell you, the moments in my practice when that wall presented itself,
Yes.
I knew there was a few options. You could either go through it, over it, under it, or around it. But you did not ever allow that wall to stop you.
To stop you.
There was no point at which that wall was the end of the line. That wall was simply an obstacle that needed to be gotten around. So, there is that piece to it. And that's one of the things we have to start looking at. What are the obstacles you put in your own way? Because we're experts at that.
Aren't we, though?
Out.
Yes.
How many times in your life were you told that you need to play a bigger game and you went, yeah, I know. I had the same thing. People would say to me, you've got such a big personality and I can definitely see you out on a much bigger stage.
Bigger stage, exactly.
And I would go, yeah.
You're right. And we stayed right where we were.
And then eventually you go, hell yeah, what am I waiting for? Why am I waiting for somebody else to make the decision on how it is I'm going to show up in the world? And when you grab that fact and you realize that it's all in your control, it's all under your power, then you start making the moves necessary. I did a thing this last year, 7 months of working with someone who was working with energy levels. Because here's the other thing. You will not get where you want to go with your conscious mind. It's not going to happen.
Oh, I agree. Talk more about that, please.
We hold our traumas on a cellular level. Our body is what takes it in. My father was a violent man and beat me up regularly. Took it into my core. Okay. Sits in your core forever. It's like, it's very, very deep in there. And your conscious mind cannot reach that.
Right.
So in order for us to get to the subconscious levels, we have to do all kinds of different types of therapies, whether it's, doing the physical stuff,
EFT, the physical stuff,
EFT, whatever, there's a lot of ways to do that. And then there's the levels where you really personally cannot access it. And you need somebody who is highly attuned to what that looks and feels like. And that's what I found 7 months ago with a woman who lives fairly local to me. I was quite surprised.
Really?
And I started to have regular sessions with her as she started to unpack the energetic levels that I had been squashing.
Yes.
And it had kept things at a distance. My business was not doing as well as it could have done, even though I had prepared the ground and I had done everything I was supposed to. Everybody couldn't figure it out. Until finally it was like, yeah, well, the reason why you can't is because you've got a barrier around your heart. You're very good at giving, but you're not very good at receiving.
Oh.
So I had to work on receiving. And then when I did, 4 or 5 months later, my business exploded. And now I have a TED Talk. So that is a story in itself.
That is a huge story in itself, because I have gone through exactly the same thing. And I know that I have shielded my heart to protect myself, of course. Of course. And it's not conscious. I'm not saying, oh, I'm holding my heart in abeyance. No, it's something that happens to us.
Yeah. But that's why we need other people to help us. The secrets to what it is we're holding on to. Because it's not a conscious mind. Our conscious mind is like 10% of our existence. Yes. So if you look at that, you can't possibly just get there. I mean, I know people are hearing this, what I have to say today, and they're going, oh yeah, she's right. She's right. I get it. Getting it and doing it.
And doing it are two different things.
Yeah.
They're two different things. Oh, Jacqueline, this is extraordinary. And all of you, please, that are listening to this, pay attention that you are talking to a woman who has undergone all of this. She's not talking about someone else's experience. She's talking about what allowed her to blossom in her career and the fullness of her career and the fullness of her purpose finally unfolded when she kept working. And this doesn't happen in 1 year or in 2 years or in 5 years. When you have been deeply traumatized, the trauma remains, the imprint. It's like an invisible imprint that your conscious mind simply can't deal with. It's not even aware that it's there. It says, I've done my job. I've protected you from this. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah. And here's what's really interesting is when you have a lot of that hard stuff in life to deal with,
Yeah.
you get hardened by it.
Yes.
And you're like, I have complete control over my life.
I've thought
Yeah, well,
that thought.
Yeah, good luck on that one. I like to say I'm a recovering control freak.
Yeah.
You know,
Me too.
because here's the thing about control is about safety. If I have
Yes.
everything under control, my life is safe. Well, there's
Be
another thing,
safe.
because there's no safety and there is no control and there is only what is. And
Yes.
when we're honest about what we're feeling, we're honest about how we want to deal with it, and we're honest with the people that we care about, then we can start to make the changes that are necessary because we have the support of those around us. Because the biggest fear is what, and one of my clients said just the other day there, he said, I'm afraid that if I change, I won't like what I see.
Ooh.
And I said, that's very sad, because I have never met anyone who went through some changes and didn't love what they were becoming. And so that's up to you. What do you want to do?
Are you willing to take the risk to
Right.
see the magnificence and the brightness of who you truly are? Because we all are, no matter what we've been through.
And that's the big question. What are you willing to change? And the key word there is willing. And I have one of my modules in my programs is called, What Are You Willing to Change? And I take people on an exploratory journey to look at where's the resistance to change? What excuses do you throw up when you're thinking about making change? What actions are you not taking when it comes down to making change? You know, and where are you finding the support for that change as well?
Oh,
But let's
goodness,
face it,
yes.
our hard experiences has built an extraordinary amount of resilience. And one of the greatest fears is that I cannot handle whatever it is that life throws at me. Well,
Yes.
take a look back and see what life has thrown at you already. And are you still standing? Uh-huh. And do you feel like you definitely stronger than you used to be?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. And is there anything worse that can be thrown at you than what was thrown at you before? Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, so why hold back? Why hold back?
Let me ask you, Jacqueline, your transformational strategies program, is that available only in corporate situations, or is it available? Do you do groups with that at all?
I do groups. If I had a group of individuals who wanted to do this, then I would create a group. But I don't offer it out one at a time.
Okay. Okay.
It works better when you have a support group around you.
Oh, yes. Oh,
To do
yes.
this work, because
No
the work
question.
is not, I like to say this about my programming. If you're looking for a check the boxes and an easy way through to the process of change, forget it. You're not coming to me. My style is very direct. I tend to be very straightforward
Yes.
in how I approach things, and that's what my clients appreciate in me. No bullshit.
Yes.
And the program definitely gets in your face. And if you're not willing to be honest and vulnerable and allow yourself to really explore all the different dimensions of this, then you'll back away from it. And so
Yes.
I'm looking for people who are truly committed to doing this work. And I will be there to support them all the way through, because I also offer 2 group calls a month plus an individual session a month. It's a 6-month program.
Lovely. Lovely.
And it's so, you know, but the process is challenging. I'm not going to use the word hard, but it's challenging.
Yes.
But when you meet the challenge, the rewards are off the charts. I get absolutely blown away when my clients tell me what they're coming up with, having done this work. Just had one yesterday, in fact, and she said, 7 months ago, I would never have been capable of doing the things I'm doing right now, setting
Oh
boundaries,
my.
picking up for what I need, making decisions, having
Yes.
conversations with my boss to tell him I didn't like what he said,
Yes.
telling my mother to piss off because she's been bothering me for years. You know, I mean, these are the things that happen. It's quite remarkable.
They're immense.
I who wrote all this stuff, because I went through all of this myself and I wrote these programs, even I get surprised by the results that they have. And I'm not just blowing my own horn here, but I'm just saying that this work is vital to
Yes.
our well-being. And do we really want to get to the end of our lives going, I really wish I'd taken more chances?
Oh, that
No.
to me would be a great tragedy.
Well, it is a tragedy.
That's a tragedy.
I like to say that, there millions of people are living in fear every day. And it's a choice, but it's killing them.
Yes, it
As I
is.
said earlier, going through this process, it was either do this or die.
Or die.
And it would be emotionally or spiritually dead.
Yes. Yes. And there are many walking around in that condition.
Absolutely. But here's the other thing about this. The people that you love and care for, you're not serving them by staying where you are.
Exactly. Even if your change makes them extremely uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And you may encounter extreme opposition to, why are you doing that now? You were never that way before. What happened to you now?
Yes. Yeah. So you have to be prepared for that.
Yes.
And that's another reason why people will stay the same, because I don't want to rock the boat.
Exactly.
I don't want to make anybody else unhappy, bringing us back to this idea of everybody needs to be happy.
Be happy.
And it's my responsibility to make that happen. Who made you God?
Exactly. You said something. You are one decision. I love this comment. You are one decision away from taking the next step toward the life you want. Jacqueline, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, simply being is that, we like to think of, you're going to make a massive change. Well, the truth of the matter is, no, you don't. You just have to take one small action that is pushing you beyond your comfort zone, and then just keep doing that until so no longer is it a discomfort. It becomes part of who you are. So for instance, speaking up, how many women do not speak up?
Oh, so many.
So
many.
So you're fearful of what people are going to think of you. You're fearful of what you have to say is stupid. How many times have you sat in an audience and the question and answer time? And I know I've done this. And the speaker is there and they're like, okay, bring on the questions. And you've got a question in your mind and you watch all the other people getting up to the microphone and asking their questions and, getting them answered. And you're sitting there going, yeah, but is this question the right question? Is this going to sound really stupid? Can I, I'm going to really embarrass myself if I get up and ask. And you sit there with this whole dialogue going on in your head, but in reality, you're missing the opportunity. If you took the smallest step forward to say, I have a question. Don't know if it's a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Say it with that kind of confidence, and people will think, wow, she's brave. All these people in the audience going, oh, I can do that. No.
Exactly. And you may find people that when you do stand up and you become a tall puppy and you open your mouth and you ask a question, they are really going to dislike the fact that you did that. They're going to dislike the fact that you stand out. They're going to dislike the fact that you have called attention to yourself. But behind that wall of is, wow, she's got guts. And maybe I don't. And maybe I needed to stand up and ask a question too.
So the only thing that I would actually challenge you on is,
okay,
don't expect that people will dislike what you have to say.
Ooh,
Do not expect that, because then you're setting yourself up again for, oh, I don't know if I want to go there because I'm going to be under attack.
right.
Not everybody will like what you have to say.
Absolutely
Not
not.
everyone will like who you are. Those are the people you don't have to bother with. There's billions of people on this planet.
There's a whole bunch.
People who love who you are and what you do, and love that you can get up and do whatever you want to do no matter what. Because those that don't
Beautiful.
like you, well, I'm sorry, but I don't have time for you. I've got other things to get on with.
Exactly. That we're not here to help those people. We're
That's
not
right.
here, we're here to be truly ourselves
Yeah.
and as fully ourselves as we can be.
So
And that's a challenge.
claim that space of, I don't care if you like it or not. That takes practice. I will tell you, and you know this too, is that didn't happen overnight for me either.
No, 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 neither for
But
me.
the fact is, you stand up eventually and you go, I'm going to say something here, and I don't know if you're going to like it or not, but well, I'm going to say it
I'm
anyway.
going to say it anyway.
And 9 times out of 10, I get a thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth. Thank you for giving me the space to address whatever it is that needs to be addressed. How many people hate confrontations? That's all part
Ooh,
of the approval piece too.
it
It's like,
is.
I can't go and tell them I didn't like it. I can't say that, they're upsetting me.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I'm just going to upset them. Yeah, okay. So like I was saying earlier, the client who told her boss, I didn't like what you said because I felt really offended by it. And I thought I should bring it to your attention that if you're going to do that, you need to figure out a different way to do it. And he said, thank you for
Thank you. My goodness.
telling me. I was not aware of the impact that I was having.
Mm,
And now the question is, well, now that you do, what do you want to do about it?
exactly, exactly. How are you going to change that?
Because that's the other side of it. Help people to help themselves by being more bold in your approach. Because otherwise, you just keep facilitating the same bullshit over and over again.
Because we're modeling a different kind of behavior by
Right.
standing up and speaking
And
out.
that's what I mean about, like for instance, when you're changing in a family,
Yes,
the family dynamics are very simple. I will make changes in my life. I have a husband who's more reluctant about making changes, but he will watch me making my changes, may or may not like it,
right.
but then he's forced to look at his stuff and he has to make changes. It's a domino effect. So I like to say I'm here to change the world one person at a time, because if I can help you be a better person,
Yes.
you will help someone else. And it could be your immediate family, or it could simply be a colleague or a friend. Who the hell knows? But somewhere along the line, you will bring that energy to someone else. And that's how it works.
And
Domino
that's what
effect.
transformation is all about.
Change the world one person at a time.
Jacqueline, this has been so inspiring. How can my wonderful ladies of the Wise Wild Woman community find more about you?
So they can go to my website, and that's
Okay.
easy, JacquelineWales.com.
Yes.
And there's my books are on Amazon, The Fearless Factor and The Fearless Factor at Work.
Wonderful.
Those are 2 books to recommend.
Good.
And on the website, there's a lot of information.
And there's podcasts out there. There are YouTube videos. There's your YouTube channel. So I'm going to put whatever I find, I'm going to put it in the show notes below. And this has been, Jacqueline, my heart feels like it's on fire. It just feels so inspiring, and I am so delighted and humbled and thrilled to meet someone who has gone through the fire like I have, and who's come out with such radiance, such honesty, with this incisiveness that is so you. It's inspiring, utterly inspiring and transformational.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I really appreciate that.
You are so welcome. Thank you for this beautiful interview, and I hope all of you love it. I look forward to your comments, and I know that you will enjoy finding and following Jacqueline. So that's it for today. Adria Firestone, the Wise Wild Woman, unapologetically you and unapologetically us. We are signing off.